Hi, everyone. I hope our Just Leaders and their families are doing great. Hope you guys had a great weekend and that you're looking forward to a day off on Monday. Now, as you know, we are doing some transitioning at Laurel for our worship services. So this week and last week, we were able to go back to in-person worship. Now, next week, we are going to go back to in-person worship, children's Bible classes, and kids worship classes. Now, because of that, this is the last Bible video that I'm going to be posting for Sundays for my elementary folks. Now, that is the reason why, is because we're transitioning back into everything at Laurel. So just remember, this is going to be the last video. Now, this is, of course, a time where I don't know what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next. So you could see me again. But for now, this will be the last video. So, guys, I have with me some books today that I want to share with you. I'm always bringing some books with me. All right, so I've got The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. Now, I'm going to read this to my elementary kids this week, so I'm not going to read it to you today. But this is a book about a little caterpillar that has some really funny things happen to him. And then I've got a book called Seeds by Wind and Water. And then I've got our famous Cinderella story. And the part that I want to remind you of is when Cinderella's fairy godmother takes the pumpkin and the animals and turns it in to a nice, beautiful carriage and horses and carriage driver so that Cinderella can go to the ball. Now, what do all these things have to do with each other? Well, what does a caterpillar change into? A butterfly. What do seeds eventually turn into? Flowers, if cared for correctly. And then we don't even have to ask about what happened in Cinderella's story. The pumpkin and the animals turned into a carriage. Now, this week, we are going to be beginning to talk with our elementary kids about change and how Jesus changes our lives. Now, in all of those books have things in them that change. It went from one thing to something completely different. Well, when we have Jesus in our lives, it should be the exact same thing. It should be that our lives are completely different when He is in it. Now, this week at Just Lead, we are going to be going into the story and studying about Saul. It is in Acts 9, verses 1 through 22. That's the story we're going to be studying. Now, because we're going to be studying it this week, I'm not going to read it to you. But you can choose to stop the video and read it now if you like. If you're listening as a family or if you're by yourself, you can go ahead and read this passage if you'd like. So Acts is in the New Testament. So you're going to find Acts, and then you're going to find chapter 9. See where my chapter 9 is? Right there. And when you find chapter 9, then you're right where you need to start, because you start in verse 1. And you're going to go all the way to verse 22. Now, like I said, I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to give the story to you in a nutshell today. So this man, Saul, was a man that persecuted Christians and did really bad things to them. And then something happens to him, and then he does a 180, and then he becomes a follower of Christ. So, and then when that happens, his name actually changes to Paul. And now he's going out to try and tell people about Jesus. So this man has made a complete 180. His life is completely different than what it was to begin with. That's how it is for us too. When we have God in our lives, then we're going to do things completely different than what we would if we didn't have Him in our lives. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about, what do I do if God is in my life? What do I do that I wouldn't do if He wasn't with me? Or what kinds of things do I do because I love God and because I want to live my life for Him? Well, when you give your life to God, it is a complete transformation. It is completely different. In our story that we're going to be studying from the Bible, Saul becomes a completely different man, and he even changes his name to Paul. Well, we should be completely different people when God is in our lives. Because now with God in our lives, we're living our lives to glorify Him. So we're doing things like loving others before we love ourselves, forgiving others. We're talking to people about Jesus. We're making that our mission is to go out and tell as many people as we can about God. That's what we're doing. We're doing things differently than what we would if we didn't have Him in our lives. So guys, that's what we're going to be talking about at Just Lead. Now, for today, I encourage you to try and make a list of things as you are letting this be on your mind today. Make a list of how your life is different because of God. And think about all the things that you do in your life because you want to glorify God. Now, I also have a fun activity that I want to encourage you to join in on it with me. What we're going to do, we're going to take one thing and turn it into something completely different. And all you need is a piece of paper and something to write with. Now, what you're going to do first is you're going to write the word love on a piece of paper. Now, you don't want to write it too big because you need a good bit of room, but you don't want to write it too small because you do need some room to move around inside the letters. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to tape this on the wall so you can see my steps that I'm taking. Now, what you want to do, you want to take that piece of paper that you have written love on, and you want to turn it upside down. Okay, now let's see if this is going to work here. I believe it's going to. So remember to turn it upside down. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Yep, I think it's going to work. Yep, there we go. All right, so if you've got the word love and it's upside down, you're off to a good start. So what you want to do, you want to go to the E over here, and you just want to bring it around and kind of even that out. And then you want to make a little hump inside the O, okay? Then what you want to do is this. You want to turn your V into a little tent, just like this. And then put a line down it, okay, in the middle of the little squares to the sides, or rectangles to the sides. Then what you want to do, you want to go to the top of the tent. And what you want to do with over here where your E is you want to make a little hump and give it some little squiggles and bring it around, just like that. Now over here you want to do something a little bit different. You want to make your hump and your little squiggles, but you want to attach it to the L. Now my L's a little bit too long. You don't need it that long. So I'm just going to bring it on around over here, just like that, okay? Now, the next thing you want to do, you want to go to the bottom of the tent, okay? And you want to kind of do it just like that. Just like that. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to go to the side over here. You might can see what this is about to turn out to be. I don't know. But you want to go to the side and you want to give it a little hump and some little squiggles. And then you want to bring it on around just like that. Okay. And over here you want to do something similar. And you might just want to get those together. Yep. Give it a little hump. Give it some little squiggles and bring it on around just like that. And then the next thing that you want to do, you want to put another little hump in here and over here as well, just like that. And then the next thing that you want to do, you want to give this one over here some feet. And then you want to give this one over here some feet. Now, we have taken the word love and we have turned it into two little birds kissing each other. Now, of course, I've told the kids this all the time. I am not the best of an artist. So, this is very imperfect right here, but I hope that you got to join in on the activity and that you enjoyed it. All right. And then I hope that this was a good illustration as you have your mind today on thinking about how Jesus is transforming your life. He's taking your life and making it something completely different. Just like we talked about with Saul, who became Paul, We talked about the things in the storybooks that changed from something to something different. And then we turned the word love into something completely different. We turned it into a picture. All right, guys. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. Now, last week, I said in my video that if you watch the video, come to me at Just Lead and say, Tootsie Roll, and you would get a Tootsie Roll. I had 2 kids that came and did it for me, and I was so happy to hear that from them. So this week, if you watch the video, I'm going to have you say something different. I'm going to have you say candy, and you're going to get a piece of candy. Now, the Tootsie Roll, we did that for Tootsie Roll, but now if you say candy to me, then I'm going to let you choose a piece of candy from a variety, okay? So remember, you're coming to me and you're saying the word candy. Now, you don't want to tell anybody. This is going to be like a little secret, okay? So don't tell anybody what you're doing. Just come up to me on Tuesday when you see me, or the day that you come back to Just Lead, and say candy. And I will let you have a piece of candy. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Remember that I love you, we love you, and God loves you.